And so I was just wondering if there were tips or stuff, just because, like, I don't know, my husband did the redesign as well, and I was looking at Eric Wassinger's for, just for inspiration or whatever. And they both, like, would use a pie chart here or a graph there. And so I didn't know if there were just tips like that to, like, make it more rather than just text. I know that's great. I love text, but also just, is there any other tips just to make it yours, make it unique?
Yep. Yeah, the white space.
Within reason.
White space in graphic design is definitely valuable.
Yes.
Let me take a look at, let's see, so stage 3 is due, or not stage 3, stage 2 is due Monday. So we've got student characteristics. That's pretty amenable to graphs and charts.
Agreed.
Learning outcomes, not so much.
Maybe a beaker or something?
I think I might have come up with some graphics to show how my learning outcomes aligned with my course redesign, but that was, and assessments used to assess the learning outcomes, also not so graphic-y.
Yeah. There's some links, though. Examples.
Links are good.
Yep. We got Chris.
Hey, I didn't realize it was just the 3 of us.
Now it's the 3 of us. Thank you for
that. For a while, it's 2.
We're going to hope other people roll in, too.
Yeah, I just got a call from John. I think he's running back from his class, his lecture, so it'll be a couple minutes.
Yeah, that's okay. We're doing a rolling start. It's fine.
It's the way it goes at a point.
So we were just reviewing the stage 2 topics, that stage 2 of the ePortfolio being due on Monday.
Right.
And talking about how to make the poster a little bit more graphic, visually appealing.
Unique, different, within reason.
Yeah. So quick question on that. It doesn't have to be complete, but at least a skeleton of, or at least starting to flesh out the details for part 2.
Submitted, yeah.
Okay.
You've got.
We can always go back and edit.
That's what I thought.
Nice.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
So if you have the bones or the skeleton, then you should be fine.
Yeah, I think we've got most of that. I think we all do on SDSU's side. It's just a matter of some of the data in terms of course success historically. We just got access to Tableau, and I don't know if you've ever looked at that thing, but dear God, it's scary.
Yeah, it's powerful and super useful, but it does take a while to learn how to use.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Excellent. Joseph. So one of the things, Carolyn, that I did on my ePortfolio, and this was not the first time I made the ePortfolio, but over the previous year when I was a lead for the first time last academic year, I went back and added a lot of videos of maybe me explaining things. So instead of, for example, I was just thinking about the accessibility, affordability, and diversity. I might videotape myself giving a 30-second or 45-second explanation of what I did in my class to make it more affordable, rather than writing it.
Really? Huh. And then is there a link there, or does yours have an embedded video?
I embedded all of my videos, or most of my videos, I think.
Cool.
Trying to think of.
That sounds easy because there's a big reflection at the end too. Did you just?
Oh, that's a fantastic place for a reflection, for a video rather. Yeah, the reflection. Let's see. Rolling back to stage 1. Mostly boring details. So yeah, moving forward, especially the implementing and impact on teaching and learning stages 3 and 4, those tend to be places where you can really jazz up a poster with graphics and videos.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me see if I can find the link to my portfolio and I can put it in the chat.
That'd be cool. I'm gonna be going anyway. I'm totally like creeping on people, like my husband and Eric Wassingers and stuff. Yeah. I mean, they're there, so why not use them?
No, exactly. That's one of the reasons we put them there.
Not really creeping. I know.
So here is, oh, sorry, just sent that to one person. Let's send it to everybody. So there's a link to my ePortfolio in case it's useful to see some examples of
Definitely.
graphic. Let's see, what did I do in stage 2? My stage 2 is almost all text. Except for pictures of me. So the about the instructor part, when I was doing the stage 2 components, I was inspired by some videos, sort of faculty interviewing themselves essentially, which I thought was really engaging. So I didn't do that, I guess, for mine, but I just put some still pictures of me at different stages in my life.
That's all works. I mean, in the end, it's all about the content, right? It's not necessarily about the pretty presentation, but it helps.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. I think for most of us, that's true, that it doesn't matter what it looks like. But I think the chancellor's office wants to have some beautiful examples that they can show off.
Fair enough.
So they don't push, my understanding, or my perspective rather, over the last year and a half, is they don't push for graphic, pretty posters, but they will remind every once in a while that it is nice to
a solid wall of text is going to be killer.
add a little visual content.
Right.
Joseph, you said that this was your first or the second redesign, the second milestone?
This is, the stage 2 of your ePortfolios are due on Monday.
Right.
Yep.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, yours has a lot of stuff. So did you say this was your second redesign, or was this your first ePortfolio?
It's complicated. Think of it as my second. Think of it as the second.
That makes me feel better. Yes. Yeah.
This is the second version of my ePortfolio.
Okay.
So think of it, I'm lying, but basically I made one the first year, and then I redid the same one with this for the same class the second year.
Gotcha.
So my redesign didn't change. I was just able to, I had gone through it once, so I knew what sort of data to collect and what sort of graphics I might want to add to the ePortfolio. So
yeah, I really like it. This is what I'm talking about. Just making it yours. Just what I like to do. So yeah.
And it's hard with it can be hard with the template to really customize the ePortfolio. So it took me a while to figure out how to arrange items the way I wanted them.
Yeah, my husband said that you just have to add boxes if you want to add new figures and stuff like that, because each box can only have one figure or whatever. So
right. And
add boxes.
And something about captions too, although it's been so long since I last edited mine. Okay. I recall something about there being a weirdness with figures and captions. If you wanted to have a caption, it had to be its own box, not multiple things in one box. Anyway.
Okay.
Does anybody else have questions or concerns about the ePortfolios?
Not really. It seems pretty clear. I guess the one thing I've been just missing when I've only looked at kind of briefly, is we need to submit this when we're ready with it, or?
Oh, an answer I should know the answer to, but I don't remember if there's an actual submission process or if you just have to have, I think you just have to have it ready.
Okay.
By Monday. It's been so long ago since I submitted one.
Yeah, because
last year I was just tinkering with my published one. If they haven't sent you an email with any sort of instructions for how to submit,
I think they did. I should probably just dig back through my email.
Well, besides stage 1, right? We could probably submit it that same process as we did in stage 1.
Yeah. I seem to recall that there was some sort of form or survey or something we filled out every time we finished it.
Every time? Okay.
Stage, but I could be wrong. They might have changed too.
Joseph, I have a question regarding your figure 9, and if you want to answer stage 2 ePortfolio questions, because this is more about the analytics from YouTube. How did you generate that? Is it straightforward when you start digging into the YouTube features to generate? Because I think this is really a useful graph, right?
Yeah. So this is, For those of you that aren't looking at the ePortfolio, my ePortfolio right now, this is a graph of all of how many minutes of YouTube video are watched basically per day through a semester, a little bit more than a semester of my class. And it basically shows trends.
It shows when you had your exams.
Yeah, basically. It shows trends that everybody watches the videos right before the exams. And this, again, this is part of my second year redesign. So the first time I redesigned the class, I recorded all of my lecture material so that the second time I taught the class, I was able to ask the students to watch videos before class. And this is basically them either reviewing previous semester videos or videos that I recorded of that semester. So again, this semester I was teaching this course this graph is from, I recorded all of the lecture material or in-class material every day. So they may also be reviewing specific videos. So short answer to your question, it is very straightforward. This is a graph that was made by YouTube. I didn't have to get raw data and plot this myself. This is a straight plot from the YouTube website.
Cool.
And the analytics tools they have in YouTube are pretty powerful. And I'd be happy to do a PLC session on just that for people that are interested.
I am. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would be too. One thing that I found was interesting was it was a little frustrating on how long it was taking to upload my videos to YouTube. And then I was watching one and I'm like, oh, let's see what the CC is. They do closed captioning, and I was shocked at how accurate it was. And then I thought, now I know why it's taking so long to upload, because there's an algorithm running that's taking my voice and converting that to text, and I was really impressed by that.
My impression was that it doesn't slow down the upload, that's part of the processing. I don't think the closed captioning happens during upload, in other words.
Okay.
But I don't know. Sometimes I upload videos to YouTube and I check the captioning and it doesn't show up for a day or 2 or 3, which is the only reason I think that it might not be the case. They might have changed too.
Yeah.
Part of my course redesign was funds for using automatic sync to do the captioning of the videos. So the CSU system has a contract with this program, with this company that does captioning, but they actually have humans do it, not a computer algorithm, which is what YouTube uses.
Yeah, I think we budgeted
extra money.
Sorry?
Unless you pay them extra money, in which case YouTube can actually provide you human-based transcription. But
I was impressed by how accurate it was, even scientific terms, which of course in Chem 100 or Gen Chem course, we're going to have a lot of scientific terms. So I was pretty pleased by that. So
yeah.
This is YouTube, John?
Yes, it was.
Wow. I had heard rumor that they weren't very good, and so my campus is pushing Kaltura, which is a little bit better at captioning anyway.
I think we budgeted. I think most of our budgets had $1,000 in it for closed captioning.
Yeah, I know that we have to do that for all of our videos to make them accessible and stuff. Like we have to, but yeah, I guess that's another question too. Like I said, my campus is really pushing Kaltura. Does anybody know pros and cons, or does anybody have a preference, or why, or does it matter?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
I mean, I'd say just check YouTube, because I mean, these AI analytics to do voice recognition are always getting better, right? And YouTube's going to put the money in to make it better when they can. So
I really like YouTube. It's really user friendly and intuitive. So
yeah.
Especially their embedded players, they always work.
Joseph, what campus are you on?
Fresno.
You're not anywhere near the fires then, right? I wonder if how about the Chico? Isn't Chico possibly close to that area?
They're not.
Yeah. There was one in Paradise, but
okay.
It has since stopped. So you're right. Yes, we are not at risk. Sorry, I'm from Chico. I didn't put that in my name. But yeah.
And you guys are okay?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good.
I emailed, you might remember Brett Christie, part of the CRT team.
Right.
In our last meeting. He lives in the town that burned down.
Santa Rosa?
Yeah, Santa Rosa.
Oh, no.
He's the only person I know that lives in Santa Rosa. So I emailed him the morning I heard about all the fires. And at that point, he said he was okay, that he had been evacuated, but I haven't heard from him since. I haven't contacted him since. I didn't really want to bother him with extra
Right.
emails. I just wanted to let him know that people were thinking about him. But yeah, Sonoma State is the one that's really close to that area. And they're now closed, I think, through Monday.
Jeez.
I don't think the campus actually got damaged. I'm not sure about that, but one of the things that I wanted to share with everybody, and again, I mentioned that I have a topic planned for discussion. If nobody else has anything more pressing, I'm happy to put this off until later. But one thing I did want to push out today, because this is coming up, is AAC&U has now it's annual program called Active Learning Week. And it's to raise STEM faculty awareness of using active learning strategies and basically expanding diversity and capacity for inclusion of diversity in STEM classes. So I'm going to paste into the chat a couple of links. One is AAC&U's, this is STEM Central, is the AAC&U website where this project is run.
Sorry, what is AACMU?
American Association of Colleges and Universities.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Quickly.
Yeah. And this is the second year they've done this, to my knowledge. And they ask for pledges, not money, but they ask faculty to sign up and pledge, say that they're going to incorporate at least one culturally relevant active learning exercise in their class during Active Learning Week. So I just pasted in the chat window the link to the pledge in case anybody's interested in joining me. I did this last year and I'm doing it again this year. It's coming up in a week. I think it's the week following this coming week. That's the Active Learning Week.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they ask, and the reason that I'm bringing this up relevant to my topic for today, which is using videos in class, is that one of the things they ask, or at least they ask faculty to create short videos, 2 minutes maximum maybe, explaining what they did in their active learning activity in their classroom and to upload that video to STEM Central. And they look at those and they highlight some of them on their website. And when I did this last year, my video got highlighted.
Cool.
And I'm going to post that, although it's much longer, so don't watch this now, but there's a link to the video I created last year. It's like 8 minutes or something. So if you're interested, but please don't feel like you need to go watch it. It's an example. And last year, my active learning in the classroom was kinesthetic learning. It was a master's class in molecular biology, and I had my master's students basically act out the process of, I don't remember if it was transcription of DNA or translation of RNA, but some basic biological principle that I had the students come up to the front of the classroom and act out. And that was our active learning day activity that last year. And this year I decided that I wanted to do something that was tech-based, not kinesthetic. I wanted to leverage CRT and do a technology-based active learning activity. And so this is where the videos become relevant. Has anybody done a jigsaw activity in their class before?
No.
No.
So a jigsaw, if you haven't heard of it, the idea is you break up a class into multiple groups, maybe 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. Each group becomes, this is one way to do a jigsaw. The concept is each group becomes an expert in their own particular area of expertise, and then you assemble groups of 4. If you broke the class up into 4 groups, you assemble then into groups of 4, where each group was represented by 1 member so that they can teach each other what they learned in their little breakout sessions.
Right.
And this, I teach a large class. Well, large for me. It's 80 students. So And I don't have any TAs in class. I don't have any supplemental instruction sections. So I don't have, it's me in the classroom. So I was trying to think of how I could do a jigsaw, because I like the idea of students teaching students and creating their own knowledge and content. I was trying to think of a way that I could do a jigsaw with just me. And based on what I learned, by the way, I should point out that I'm an Apple fan.
I kind of caught that.
And it's also really cold in my office. It was 59 in here when I came in. I've got my space heater running down there on the floor, but it's not really keeping up with the air conditioning here in Fresno. This past summer, so full disclosure, this past summer I was honored to become an Apple Distinguished Educator. And when we were in Austin for our Summer Institute, when we were going through, getting put through the paces, Apple was really pushing us to develop classroom-based uses for their app called Clips. Any one of you Apple users?
Yeah.
Okay. So even if you're not, Clips is an app that Apple released this year. It's basically a mobile device-based video production app. It's really simple. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that full-scale video editing apps do. It takes pictures, it records movies, and one of the really cool things is it captions live. So, John, I think what you were kind of getting at, this idea of uploading and captioning at the same time, is built into the Clips app.
And it's CLIPS?
CLIPS. And regardless of whether you have an Apple device, iPad, iPhone, this is not available for laptops or desktops. This is an Apple iOS only app. Even if you don't have an Apple device, you can still use this sort of approach. I decided, I don't know, it was in the shower, I was trying to fall asleep and thinking about class. I realized that maybe what I should do was to build short videos, 2 to 3 minutes long, that the students would watch, and that was how they would become the experts for a jigsaw activity.
Yeah.
So what I did was I recorded 3 short clips, videos, and in class, I prepared 3 different QR codes, those 2-dimensional barcodes that students can take pictures of and takes them to a website. So I uploaded my 3 videos to YouTube, and then I had a printout of a QR code for each of those 3 YouTube links. And I just said, students, form groups of 3, and send 1 student to each of the 3 different QR codes. Use your tablet or smartphone to take a picture of the QR code, watch the video, and then get back into your group. And then I presented them with some questions that required the integration of the knowledge that each of the 3 separate videos presented.
Cool.
And that was really cool. I'm going to share with you a few more URLs. One of them is, just in case you're interested, again, this is certainly not for everybody, but I've got the links to my 3 jigsaw videos in case you want to see what they looked like. And I also, second to last URL, I wrote a blog post about how I did this. So if you're interested in reading details about the jigsaw process using short videos, and again, the main point here is that you don't have to have an Apple product. You don't have to use Clips to make short videos that you could use for a jigsaw activity. You can use whatever, you could just record yourself on your camera and post that to YouTube, whatever you're talking about. You could diagram something on a whiteboard and record it, post it to YouTube, use those so that you can instruct multiple groups of students at once virtually during class. And that blog post that I sent the link to, if I remember correctly, has some pictures in class of what it looked like, or actually some video I took of the students doing the jigsaw activity, up, moving around, interacting with each other, having pretty involved discussions. And now, the next time I revise my ePortfolio, I've got more videos and more evidence of, interesting things to show on my ePortfolio.
Right. So the videos you set up are kind of almost like a mini flipped classroom lecture for them to
Exactly.
digest. And
They just don't have to watch them before class,
Yeah.
which for my class now, they do already watch videos before class, but this would be during class. So it's important that they be short videos.
Yeah.
These ones that I just posted, these 3 are not probably quite as short as they should be. I don't remember how long these are, a couple minutes. I think they're each about
3
2
minutes. That seems reasonable.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Do they all have the videos running in the middle of class?
Yes.
Like, were they using headphones at the very least? Or anything?
No. Yes, it's a great question, and a really important thing to point out that I told students they could definitely feel free to leave the classroom while they watched the videos, because we're in a stadium style classroom. And yeah, if everybody had been watching all the videos and they'd all started them at different times with this asynchronous cacophony in there, and not everybody had headphones. Some students did, and they broke them out and watched and listened. Another point that this brings up, and let me show you
really quick, the QR codes were just the quickest and easiest way to like get out a link, I guess.
that's what I thought. Another way to do it, instead of printing out, so I printed them out and basically taped them onto the walls at 3 different spots in the classroom. So students would gather around the QR codes and take pictures of them and go back to their seats or go outside or whatever. Another way to do it would be to display them on the projector, if you have a projector in the classroom.
But they would still have to like type them out into their phones, right? Because you can't.
QR you don't.
You can't distribute a hyperlink.
Yeah, QR, you take a picture of the image and it takes you to the URL. The other approach that can be useful, that I use more frequently in class, is to use a tiny URL or a goo.gl. As we've learned, though, sometimes, especially at these summer institutes, for example, sometimes a campus's IT setup won't let some of those URL shortening services go through. I know we had a problem with that at our hotel for the summer institute, where I don't remember if it was tiny URL or the other one, no one could make work.
Yeah.
So there can be some, try it out once, see if it works on your campus, and then go from there.
Sorry, and I am new to the QR stuff. I know about them, but do you just literally take a picture of it and then it literally just takes you to the website?
You have to have yes, that's ideally how it works. You have to have a QR scanner app.
Okay.
And the one that I use, I'll type into the chat, Crafter or QR After. Okay. Is a free.
I've done that before, and I was like, this didn't do anything. I didn't know I needed an app.
Right. Yep. Well, and that's one of those things that can improve. It can improve accessibility, and it can also sort of level the playing field if you remember to tell students in advance that they need to get a specific app for it, because.
And bring headphones or something, yeah.
And that.
Sorry, I interrupted you though. You were going.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to be interrupted. Q&A.
Joseph, I have a question. So once the students reviewed those videos, then how would they disseminate that information? Would they come to the front of the class and then kind of cover that material, or was it done in groups?
Done in groups. So each group was 3 students, and so each member of the group would be an expert in something else. They returned to their group of 3. Then I presented them with sort of a big question, complicated question, I guess is more accurate, that required them all to discuss and to share what they had learned, so that together they could combine the information they had after sharing it with each other and solve the problem.
So I love this, because I mean, you know that you never learn a topic until you have to teach it, right? So they have to teach it. So were they going back like after you posted that complicated question, were they going back and reassessing the video that you sent in order to, maybe they missed some points? Or
yeah, they certainly could. Absolutely. And some did. And at the end of class, I made sure to tell everybody that I posted all of the videos, all 3 on YouTube, and I gave all the students all of the URLs, so that each student didn't just have 1/3 of the piece of all of the information that had been delivered during class.
Very cool.
And that's easy enough. If you have a second, well, we've got time maybe. If you'll watch the link to the video that I posted most recently that says example class trailer video, this is one other use of short videos that I'm recently thinking about.
Forensic DNA samples are often collected at crime scenes. Those samples, after being analyzed, are often used in court to suggest that a suspect was present at a crime.
I just muted everybody so that we can watch in peace, but you unmute yourself when you're ready to talk again.
Neat.
Definitely short. Could you just like make a post about that? Make a Blackboard post or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, so the way that I use, so I call these trailer videos, they're like movie trailers, something that I ask students to watch before class,
Teaser.
give them an idea about what we're going to talk about in class, and to give them at least a tiny hook for them to know what they're supposed to pay attention to, or at least one thing to pay attention to during class. And again, it doesn't have to be an Apple app generated video, but it's another potentially useful idea. I got this idea from somebody else, another faculty member, to try to onboard students into each class meeting. So another potential way to use videos.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. I mean, it makes sense. It's the kind of thing we either say as immediately as we start class, or as Carolyn suggested, have it written out. But yeah, are students even going to read what we write, or is this a better way to set the manual?
It would be an interesting study to do. I'd love to get some data.
Yeah.
I am collecting data this term. This is the first term that I've used these trailer videos.
So do you have one for every lecture, or is it thematic for a week?
Yeah, one for every class.
Wow.
Yep. And that I spent a lot of my summer doing these sorts of things, teching up my class. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing it, which is the only reason that I stuck with it.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, you'll have it for years, and you just keep going back to it.
Exactly. So what did you notice about the video when you watched it? It was short.
Yeah. Everything you said was written, if I recall correctly.
Right.
That was what Clips does when you do a process called live captioning. So I talk, it uses the voice recognition engine for Siri to turn my voice into text. And then it captions as you record, basically. And it's useful, it's short, it's captioned, which is really useful for those in-class jigsaws.
Yeah.
If you don't want the students to listen to it, if the movie's captioned, it doesn't have to be created by Clips. You could caption it any way you want. It could be YouTube videos, but they were on YouTube actually. So it's useful to be able to tell students in advance, if you are going to stay in class and listen to this, consider not having the volume on. Just use the captions.
Do you have any feel for what the percentage of students was that actually watched the videos?
Not so many this semester, but I haven't really been pushing them to. The way I disseminated them this semester is I also created a course manual. I have a couple of pages with information for every class meeting we have. I've got a list of vocabulary for that day. I've got a list of objectives for the day, and I also embedded the trailer videos in there. So I don't actually because the videos are embedded in the manual, they're not watching them on YouTube. So I don't have analytics, which I'm going to have to rethink because I would like to know how many of the students are watching.
So the manual is electronic, but not YouTube.
It's PDF. So I created a PDF that has all of the videos embedded.
Okay.
Yeah, you could probably just link to them instead of the video.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I should link to my YouTube videos.
You can have a PDF with a video player?
It's a PDF, but it's an ebook.
Oh.
So if I open it in a normal PDF viewer, the embedded videos don't play. You just see a screenshot of the first frame of the video. But if you open it in an ebook application, then the embedded videos work.
Man, you are super techie.
Yeah, and I'm not pushing that. I'm not usually an early adopter of anything tech. I like people to work out the bugs first, and I don't have time to create a whole ebook with all the bells and whistles. So I did it on the cheap, so to speak.
Yeah. So one thing I did, actually, I've done this years ago with my lab manual, and this kind of goes back to the QR codes and their utility, is I included lab demonstrations of techniques I wanted to use in the printed lab manual as a QR code, so the students can just watch them in the lab very quickly. So if you're not going to an ebook type format, it's an easy way to get them accessible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's
in a lab book? That's brilliant.
I think I've got, I don't think I have one. Oh, wait. Yeah. So, just because it's right on hand.
Yes, please.
So, there's a URL next to it and the QR code.
That's
But the
awesome.
students want to see what's going on, how to do that technique.
Excellent. Yeah, and best practice, I learned, maybe you're familiar with this as well, but when I released my course manual this semester, our Center for Faculty Excellence, where we do our faculty professional development here on campus, emailed me and said, hey, since you sent out this course manual for your students, we wanted you to know there's some accessibility issues. So somebody had found it and checked, and there were some issues. And one of the things that they pointed out was when I put URLs in my digital course manual, the PDF, I just put links. But the best practice, as Christopher showed us, is to have the actual text, the http:// the whole link, plus have a clickable link or a QR code.
No.
So that if students have, even students who don't really need accessibility support, if they have a paper copy, obviously you can't click on a link. So then you've got the actual URL they could type into a web browser and still get to the same content. So I learned that when you have a hyperlink, it's best to write out the whole http:// the whole thing and provide that in your written materials.
Maybe just on official documents. I don't know about all the time. They're so long.
I mean, you can still use the shortened URLs, so the
Indeed.
and so on. Those will still work.
Yeah. Instead of using a clickable link where you've typed in a text phrase that the URL is behind, so to speak.
Right. Hyperlink.
That's what they didn't like about what I did.
If that's the only thing, you're all right. You're all right.
Yeah. And I was missing some alt tags for some of my images too.
Don't forget those.
Yeah. I thought I had gotten them all, but apparently I added some graphics that were not some sort of generic like clip art graphics that I used every chapter to represent, like I had a picture of a library every time I had a list of case studies that I wanted the students to read. I had a little clip art icon of a library, and I didn't alt tag them because it's not content.
Right.
I don't know if it matters to students who can't see that they can or can't see something that's a graphic, not content. It's just to make it visually appealing. If you can't see the textbook, then I figured, well, maybe nobody cares if there's a graphic there or not. But yes, to be as equitable as possible, you should at least.
Next thing you got to do is tell it when you change font to make it look pretty too.
Well, yeah, exactly. Slippery slope, in my opinion. But I'm happy to play along.
Joseph, could you just maybe review what a alt tag is? I'm not familiar with that term.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Whenever you have, especially on websites, and in fact, I think we're required to do this as part of the e-portfolios. So you might be familiar with them if you've put an image on your e-portfolio. There's a part when you embed an image, basically any program, Word, websites, will have an option for you to maybe right-click on the image or something like that and add a written description of what the image shows. And that was originally technology built into websites for the visually impaired. And for people that didn't want to, back in the days of modems, for people that had their web browsers set not to download images because it took so long to download those huge, 100K images. So instead, what would show up on the screen would be just a blank box, but it would have the text that you had used to describe what that picture is. And then people could decide, oh, I click on it, I want to actually see what the image is, that they would download it.
Okay.
That's what it's an alternative description, alt text.
And just like we have to have videos captioned, we're supposed to have all of those figures in Blackboard, everything.
Yeah. And I believe, at least it was true last year, that anytime I added an image to my e-portfolio for CRT, it wouldn't let me select the OK button or whatever until I had actually written something in the box that says, please explain what this image shows, or something like that. And that was an alt tag.
I remember being really overwhelmed by those too, because I did these daily pre-lecture quizzes, and I teach organic chemistry as well, so they would be entire mechanisms or a synthetic scheme or something. And I went to my accessibility person, and they're like, just write C instructor. I covered that enough, that was sufficient, apparently.
Yep. So there are some workarounds.
That was a great topic, Joe. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share some ideas and get ideas from you too. I appreciate the feedback and additional ideas.
I definitely anticipate emailing you lots of questions in the very near future. So
fantastic. Glad to hear it.
Go ahead, John. Yeah, go ahead and ask.
No, I haven't yet. I'm in the process of flipping a class, and I find these Zoom sessions that we have really helpful. So I don't want to reinvent wheels that people have struggled with before. So I find this to be really good.
Yeah, that's the idea. Hopefully, that's why we're here.
Good.
Teachers helping teachers. Any other questions or concerns? I'm always here. Not always, but as you said, email me. We can always set up additional Zoom sessions one-on-one. I think I even have some travel money on my CRT funding, so I can always come places and talk in person.
Why don't you tell us about that blog of yours? Is it just yours? Did you do that as associated project? What is that?
Yeah, my blog, I started when I started doing tech innovation in the classroom, which was, I don't know, 3 years ago or so. So I write rarely now, it used to be more frequently, but on basically, yeah, ways I've used technology in the classroom, and I describe different educational approaches. I describe data that I collect from class.
It'd be a good thing to bookmark, come back for activity ideas and stuff, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that blog is all me. I haven't had anybody guest blog yet, although I'd be happy to do that as well if people have topics they like to write about.
Ooh, I have a question about that. Is that your own domain?
Anybody can sign up. I think Blogger, it's blogspot.com, but the tool is blogger.com. And I believe they're now owned by Google.
Yeah.
But anybody can register for a Blogger account, and then you can create as many blogs as you want. They show up at your domain name .blogspot.com. So like everything else on the web, all you have to do is find that first part of the URL, the part that mine says tablet pedagogy.
Right.
You just have to find one that's available that somebody else hasn't already taken. But other than that, it's free to set one up.
And it's unlimited space?
As far as I know, it's unlimited.
Nice.
I haven't reached any thresholds yet, but especially now that it's Google, I suspect that there are no limits, or the limit's 100 gigabytes, which will never even approach.
Our campus doesn't have much web hosting, so I'm always looking for workarounds.
Our campus barely has any web hosting.
Yeah, it's awful.
You know, this sort of clunky old server that still exists that is command line only.
Oh my God.
But fortunately, I know how to use Unix, so I can actually upload documents. But yeah, it must differ from campus to campus. I don't know where the rest of you are at in terms of faculty or even student websites.
Yeah, we've got no real problems. I mean, I've got a WordPress blog that's set up through the campus. They're hosting it with no issues.
You're kidding. That's exactly what I want to do. And
Yeah,
they
that
told me I
sounds
couldn't.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, hey, Kathy, when you listen to this recording, maybe we could find out if the CSU system could develop some standardization on faculty web services too, or maybe a chancellor's office based.
Yes, please.
I guess maybe that's what Merlot is for. Is it Merlot?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, we do our e-portfolios there, but there's...
You can build more web pages there if you want.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much freedom there is, though, if you can actually put a word one on there.
And it would probably be hard to integrate a blog or something like that to it. So there's another system that's a CSU system. I'll think of it eventually. It's not coming to mind at the moment. Anyway, it's more of a social media site. Sound familiar to anybody?
LinkedIn?
No, it's a CSU specific, like networking for faculty. You put in a profile and...
Oh. I think I remember signing into something like that ages ago, but never really making use of it. You kind of list your research profile or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember what it's called, and that's the problem. Yeah. But I think that
it's
might
cool. Took off.
Right. Fantastic. Interfolio? No, it's not Interfolio.
No.
Anyway, if I think about it, I'll send it out to everybody, but I guess if we're not using it, it's not useful, so I probably shouldn't bother.
It's one of the lost logins that you have somewhere that's useless.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for a fantastic discussion. And I appreciate your showing up on a Friday afternoon, Friday the 13th even. Nothing bad happened. That's good. And I will send out an email pretty soon, today or tomorrow, with the link to this recording in case you want to watch it again or look back at the chat and see what was posted in there. And we'll move on to, hopefully everybody has fun finishing up their e-portfolios for Monday.
Yep.
Perfect.
Let me know if you've got any questions.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
You too.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.